Anyways, let's get into our predict. We love predictions on this show.
Yeah, but now
obviously.
this
So
is some
we're-
more beefier. It's not going to be as hard because we're just going to pick, unless it's
Yeah.
the group of death, which we will get into.
So we're
Every
gonna
year
go
there's always
through.
a group of death, so we're going to go in group by group, like Julian said.
So let's start with Group A. So Group A, we have Bayern Munich, Manchester United, Copenhagen, and Galatasaray. So I'll kick it off to you. What do you see coming out of this group?
So I think this is an easier group to pick. Galatasaray in the Turkish league. I have a friend from Turkey, so I know the kind of shit they've been going through. Copenhagen, even though that league's not horrible, I don't rate them either because how they got here. They just barely scraped by a Polish team that nobody can pronounce except me and my mom, pretty much. If you want me to do it, I'll do it.
He'll do it.
Copenhagen, to get into the playoff or to get into the Champions League group stage, had to beat Rakov Częstochowa.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's it's in the middle of nowhere, if you're wondering. Not a big city. Good team though. They've been good lately. So
let's go 1, 2, 3, 4.
So it's got to be. I'm gonna go
because mind you, 3 makes Europa League. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say for this, I'm gonna say Bayern first, Manchester United second, Galatasaray third, Copenhagen fourth.
Yeah, I'm pretty much entirely agree with you with everything there. Obviously, I think Bayern is just going to win the group. United still, I mean, now with Anthony gone with his whole domestic violence thing, even though I don't think he's been super.
That's the worst.
Even though I don't think he's been super productive.
We talked about enough shit stories. I didn't want to put that one in there, please. Like,
no. But I'm just saying, like, from a footballing. Yeah, from a footballing perspective, you are missing a starter there. And just in general, I think Bayern's just better from top to bottom. So I got Bayern, United, Galatasaray, Copenhagen, just like you. Let's move on to Group B, where we have Sevilla, Arsenal, PSV, and Lens. So
I celebrated at work when they drew us into this group. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. It's like we're a pot 2 club. Which group do they really like? Come on, I was fearing being put into a group with Bayern. I was like, please, for the love of fucking God, don't do it. Please, we just got here. Don't do this to me. Don't put it. No, please. And then bam, we get put into the Sevilla group. Even though they're Europa League winners, they're struggling very much so.
Didn't Sevilla beat Arsenal in the Europa League?
I'm sure.
Who did you guys lose to in the Europa League?
Which year? Last year?
Last year.
I don't fucking know. I don't remember. It was depressing.
I thought Sevilla knocked you guys out. Yeah.
I don't think it was, but I blocked. I did. I actually just. It's gone. Like I don't fucking whatever. Europa League. We're back in the Champions League. I don't care about Europa League. Who the fuck cares about Europa League? It's a stupid tournament. I've never cared about that.
I get you into the Champions League.
But that's how it is, though. Yeah, exactly. So Sevilla, they're a struggling team. You know, you really, if looking at this, you have to pick Arsenal. You really do. Ramos, it's not going to change. Not going to change the game. I mean, I don't see Ramos being added to Sevilla and going, oh shit,
headers.
I mean, I guess, but you're forgetting about our big Brazilian Gabriel on the left side of center back. He's a presence. He's a presence in the air as well. I've been enjoying him at center back. So for this one, this is a tougher one to pick the rest. So I would say Arsenal, PSV, Sevilla, and then Lens.
Yeah, so I think outside of Arsenal, I think the other 3 teams, that's a really good matchup. I think that's actually a really interesting group. I think obviously Arsenal wins it. You know, I thought if it wasn't for this if this was the same Sevilla team that won Europa League last year, they were locked for number 2. That team was really defensively sound. They really worked super well together. But then this past transfer season that we talked about last episode, they pretty much said, like, we got a garage sale. We need everything must go. And they had to get rid of Gabriel Montiel, which obviously went over to Nottingham. They lost countless pieces. They were able to maintain some, and I still think they're going to be pretty good defensively. So I think Sevilla, man, to me, it's a really toss up between Sevilla and PSV for that second Champions League spot to advance.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It really is.
I'm going to go Sevilla here, and I think PSV gets third and Lens gets fourth. Lens did have a good season last year. I believe they were second in Ligue 1. I want to say. Let me just double check that real quick. Yes, they were second. They got second place, owing to PSG. So, yeah, I mean, they're no joke of a team either. So this is going to be really tough. But, man, PSV added a lot of weapons this summer. They added a lot. But then again, it's like, how much do you rate the French league versus the Dutch league, But, man, this is another interesting. Like I said, this is interesting. I'm just going to go Arsenal. I'm going to go Arsenal, Sevilla, PSV, and Lens. I think I'm going to stick with that. I think Arsenal advance. I think PSV goes to third and Lens gets knocked out. But that's going to be a good group.
That's fair. It's definitely going to be a good group.
2, 3, and 4. You could swap those around, and I wouldn't be surprised.
That's definitely going to be a good group. So I'm gonna read out Group C because I want you to look at the picture I just sent in the chat. That is not safe for podcast about Anthony. It's really funny. Fucking A, man. r/soccer circle jerk is on fire. So Group C, this is actually a pretty fun one. We got Napoli, Real Madrid, Braga, and making their Champions League debut, a big, bolsterous Union Berlin. So I think they're going to come in there. They're feisty. I don't know if they're really going to get out of there. Besides going to a Europa League, I would put your Union Berlin in the Europa League spot, and I would say Madrid first, Napoli second, Berlin get the Europa League spot, and Braga fourth. Although Braga could just as easily get that Europa League spot as well.
Yeah, so I think we're pretty much in unison here. I'm going Real Madrid, Napoli, Braga, Union Berlin. That Real Madrid-Napoli game is going to be an awesome game. I think that's a really good matchup. I like to see that matchup. That's going to be obviously the defending reigning champs of Serie A last year after winning it for the first time in 30 years or something like that. They did just lose Chucky Lozano to PSV, their starting winger, but I still think they're going to advance. So I'm going them second, Real Madrid first. Braga gets in. Union Berlin, they haven't made it in Lord knows how long. So I don't think
they're Champions League debutants.
Oh, this is forever?
Union Berlin is their first ever Champions League.
How it would be great if they made it to Europa League, but
they weren't even in the Bundesliga 3-4 years ago. I mean, it could have been a little bit longer than that. But COVID kind of tends to screw with your sense of years.
Yeah. So yes, you had pretty much the same, right? Real Madrid, Napoli, Braga, Union Berlin.
I said you could pretty much either way, but I actually picked Union Berlin for Europa League. I think they're a pretty good team. I think just because they're not Bundesliga, it's not like they have Bundesliga history or even any Champions League history. So it's easy to underestimate them, but I think they're better than they people think.
All right, let's go to Group D, which I think is also another pretty good group here. You got Benfica, which is a really good squad this year. Inter, Red Bull Salzburg, and Real Sociedad. I think Real Sociedad's a really strong team, so is Benfica. Inter's definitely going to win the group. I think Inter's just solid. I mean, obviously they made it to the final last year. I think they're going to win it. I think that second and third, Red Bull Salzburg is going to get last. I think that's just going to happen.
I agree with you.
Now that Benfica Real Sociedad game is going to be a really good matchup, but I'm probably going to go Real Sociedad over Benfica. I think Benfica gets bounced to Europa League. So I'm going Inter, Real Sociedad, Benfica, and Red Bull Salzburg.
I'm similar. I'm actually going to say Benfica goes through instead of Sociedad, but I wouldn't be surprised if you're correct. Salzburg last, Inter winning that group.
All right, let's go to Group E. Now this is a good group here, man. Yeah, Feyenoord, Atletico Madrid, Lazio, and Celtic. Man, that's a tough one. I think Atletico wins the group.
I would.
I could see them getting second. I could see him, but I'm going to go Atletico wins the group. I think I'm going to go Lazio. I feel like I'm butchering that, but Lazio. I think they get second. I think Feyenoord gets third and Celtic gets fourth. But I wouldn't be surprised to see if Feyenoord get into second place. Feyenoord, won the Dutch league last year. Really strong team this year. But I think Lazio is going to have a little too much class. So I'm going to go Real Madrid. I'm going to go not Real Madrid. Atletico Madrid, Lazio, Feyenoord, Celtic.
Yeah, this one I'm going to completely agree with you. The exact same order.
Now, the next group, I think we are going to disagree
Here we
on.
are. It's the group of death. I don't know.
This is one of the toughest groups I can think of.
It's probably one of the toughest groups ever drawn in the past few years. There have been some group of death, but this is really is one of the strongest Champions League groups in recent times. It's
insane. I mean, you're talking about pretty much all powerhouses. I mean, all were top three in their respective leagues. Dortmund bottled, so they were second.
Has PSG made the finals? So you got like three teams who are basically like near semifinals and finalists in the last decade. So you got semifinal and finalists in the last decade, all in the same group.
Yeah, so you have Dortmund who finished second, pretty much bottled the league. PSG who won their league. AC Milan who made it to the semifinals of last year's Champions League, and Newcastle, a newcomer into the Champions League after being gone for a very long time, but they're now some people say a powerhouse in the Premier League.
They're getting there.
Yeah, so I think honestly the toughest group last year doesn't even compare to this year, because last year you had that Bayern, Barca, Inter, and then whoever the fuck was the fourth team. But now this you got like all.
There is no whoever the fuck. I mean, Newcastle's supposed to be the whoever the fuck, but that's not how it really is.
I think Dortmund. I think Dortmund gets fourth. I think they just don't have enough. If they still had Bellingham and like Haaland on this team, then yeah, but no, they don't. And then who knows if Gio Reyna is going to be healthy to play in these Champions League games. So I think they get fourth. This is where we disagree. I know it's an unpopular opinion. I think Milan tops the group. I think Newcastle gets second, and PSG gets grouped and sent to Europa League.
Yeah,
here's why. I think AC Milan, I really like the way they're building that team. I think they've looked really good so far in Serie A. They've looked really solid. This was a team who, like I said, they were really competitive in Champions League last year, and I think they're just getting better. I think Rafa Leao on the other side, if he can stay consistent and look really good, like the dude he's obviously the MVP of Serie A. Like the dude is one of the best players in the world. You have Christian Pulisic, who looks rejuvenated, even though he's playing on the opposite side than he normally does. He still looks better than ever. You got Theo Hernandez behind Leao, the left back. Those two combining just looks so good. And then you got Giroud, who has 4 goals in 3 games. Like, come on, give me AC Milan to win this. I like them a lot. Newcastle, I think Newcastle just has a lot of firepower. Tonali's going back to Milan. They haven't looked good in the Prem. They started off looking pretty. I liked them against Man City, even though they lost. But what is their last 4? I think they only have 1 win so far, I believe. So because of that, but correct. I do think they have a lot of quality to get them to second in advance. A lot of people have PSG winning this group hands down. And I
I
find
don't
that a
think it's
little odd because I say the thing with PSG is that you're getting in with a new manager in Luis Enrique, which I think he's kind of building something there. But you have that French front three that I don't know like how they're going to perform. Obviously, you know what Mbappe is going to bring, but like you have that new guy who came from Germany, I believe. I've never heard of him, and they just paid like 90 million euros for him. Never heard of the guy. Apparently, he played really well for the French national team in the World Cup. I don't recall hearing about him. You have Dembele, which I'm a Dembele fan, but the dude never plays. The dude is so injury prone. And look, I am not obviously I have bias because I'm Costa Rican. I want Navas to start, but like I am not a fan of Donnarumma. I just do not think he's that great. And with these teams that these attacks he's about to go up against, dude's gonna get cooked. I believe it. So I think PSG is going to be more of a next year project. I think just trying to like balance out all these new pieces and stuff, it might fit better than it did before, like with Messi and Neymar, because it seemed like they're just trying to combine stars and see what works. But yeah, I think PSG gets grouped. So I'm going AC Milan, Newcastle, PSG, and Dortmund. Yeah,
So we are
disagree
going to
with me.
disagree.
Come at me.
We are going to disagree a little bit. I don't think PSG are getting bounced quite yet. I think Mbappe is good enough to just carry them, out of the group. It's just true. I do agree with Milan. I actually think that I agree. I just like the way they're built. So I'm going to pick Milan to win the group. I'm going to
All
pick
right.
PSG to come in second. I'm going to pick Dortmund to get bounced to Europa League.
Whoa.
And then I'm going to pick Newcastle to get dropped out.
Wow.
I
This
actually
is
think
coming from the
Newcastle,
Prem
yes,
fan too.
yes. And I feel bad because Newcastle, I really don't hate. I mean, I don't hate them. They're like you can't really hate people from like Newcastle area.
Wow.
It's like
Yeah,
they talk similar to Manchester people, but they're not as dumb and fat.
I'm sorry to all the people out there, but man, that is an ugly ass accent. I'm sorry, but it is. I know you're gonna talk
You're talking
shit.
to you like Ray Hudson.
Yeah, but he's different.
Oh my god, he's the most Newcastle
the
guy. He's the most
it's not
Newcastle
the
guy you're
same.
ever gonna fucking hear in your life.
I don't know. But anyways, yeah, that's crazy though. Like, I'm surprised you have Newcastle getting bounced over
Yeah,
Dortmund, not even
they're
making
good
Europa League.
defensively, but I don't think that's gonna help them in against these teams. And you know what, Dortmund? Yeah, I agree. They're not the same team, but it's such a difficult place to play. I think people underestimate that. They're like,
I
oh,
think
so they
just
bottled the league
Dortmund's
last
kind
year.
of on a rebuild.
I know they bottled the league last year, but that doesn't fucking mean the yellow wall's not going to show up. It's not easy.
I feel like losing Bellingham is huge.
Well, yeah, we're
that's
seeing that with Real Madrid. I think that's one of the reasons why I think Madrid, sometimes you never know year to year how
I
they're
just
going to
was
be.
surprised coming from the Prem fan. I know a lot of Prem fans. They can't fathom the fact that one of the teams there are just not going to win everything.
It's an interesting four. You could,
because I've seen some delusional Prem fans that
you're missing out on some teams. I mean, Chelsea, they definitely don't deserve to be in the Champions League based on how they've been playing. But Liverpool, that's a big miss. They just had a hiccup. It wasn't really a horrible year. It was just they had some crazy hiccup in the beginning, and they couldn't recover from it. So like there's some teams that are missing here. I'm not going to say Tottenham are missing because they don't fucking belong in the Champions League to begin with. So it's right. Back to normal. So that's Group F. That's a spicy one. The last two gonna be
these. All right. So here
picking the bottom twos are gonna be hard.
Group G is Conference League. Group F is Europa League. So I'll say. So Group G, you have Manchester City, Red Bull Leipzig. I don't even know what this team is. Cervana Zavesk.
That's their real name, but they're really called Red Star. It's Red Star Belgrade.
Yeah, I don't.
That's who they are.
Know. And then you have the Young Boys, Young Boys are from Austria.
Just say Red Star Belgrade.
The Young Boys are from Austria, right?
Switzerland.
Is it Austrian or Switzerland? Okay, it's one of those two.
Switzerland.
They're right next to each other.
I had to think about that for a second. Switzerland, yes.
Yeah, they're two close countries. So, obviously, City wins. I mean, this is like self-explanatory.
City destroys the
group. Red Bull gets second.
Easy second. Easy.
Dude, I don't even like. I don't know.
It's a fucking toss-up.
I don't know these teams enough to say who's going to get third and get Europa.
They both hop in and out of the Champions League every now and then.
Look, if we're just throwing it out there for the sake of throwing it out there, let's go Belgrade Red Stars and then Young Boys.
Yeah, I think Red Stars. I think that league's a little tougher.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm talking completely out of my ass. So.
I think the league in Serbia is a little tougher than the league in Switzerland. So I'll just think
I would say the Switzerland league is better. I don't know. At least it's what I've heard. I don't know. I'd be honest.
I don't know. You'll have arguments. There's some good teams in Switzerland, so I can understand people getting mad at me for that one. But I think Serbia, that just the Balkans are tough. There's a reason why you always see them in World Cups doing some interesting things. They're some tough people. They don't produce nobody from their leagues. I mean, in Switzerland, you got Zurich, you got Young Boys, Lugano, I've heard of. You got Basel. Everyone knows Basel. And the Grasshoppers. Who could forget about the Grasshoppers? I got some funny names in Switzerland. It's fun. It's fun stuff. Fun stuff in Switzerland.
So let's hit this final group. We have Barcelona, Porto, Shakhtar Donetsk, home of our one boy Sergei Christoph, and then Antwerp. So I'm going to go pretty much in the order that I just said it. So I'm thinking Barcelona finally got lucky with the group, and they're finally going to make it out of the group stage, even though I do not think they're good enough. If Barcelona would go fourth if they were in Group F. Barcelona, I think they got really blessed with a very good group. Huh?
Even with Newcastle in there, you think they're
Barcelona's not. I mean, we'll see with this whole new João Felix thing, which we could talk about next week once they get to play like a full game.
Yeah, okay, I think we want to see that happen.
And João Cancelo. So we'll see how that kind of works out, down the road. But Barcelona tops it. Porto, from what I understand, Porto's in a little bit of a rebuild mode, but they're still a better team. I still rate them higher than the Ukrainians. Shakhtar, who's always at the top, are always making Champions Leagues, but they can never really progress in Champions Leagues.
The only other argument is Dynamo Kiev, and they're struggling in this beginning part of the season. So it's not like Shakhtar Donetsk has a challenger, because Kiev is always their challenger.
And Antwerp, they're just going to get last. And I'm probably butchering that name too, but they're just going to get last. I will say it's going to be pretty fucking awesome to see Barcelona play in Shakhtar. Like, that's going to be, because that's like a notorious, like extremely like tough place to play.
Do you know what's going on in Ukraine right now? They're not playing in Ukraine.
No. Where are they playing at?
They're going to play in Poland probably.
You don't think there's going to be people traveling?
There's a fucking war. They're not. You
don't think there's going to be people traveling? You know how many refugees have been leaving Ukraine to go to Poland? They're going to fill that shit up, dude. They're going to fill it up.
Yes, you're right. Okay. And I know this because my grandma has been mentioning it. She's like, I hear it. Like, it used to be like, you ride the subway and it's like, everyone's speaking Polish or whatever. Now you start hearing these languages and you're like, what the fuck is that? And you look and they're like, oh, Ukrainian.
Dude, I think they're gonna fill that shit up, dude. I'm telling you. Either way,
they have a lot, but yes, they're not playing in Ukraine because that's a nice arena they got.
I still think they're gonna fill it up. I think it's gonna be good, but nonetheless, yeah. I mean, do you have any disagreements with that? Barcelona, Porto, Shakhtar, Antwerp.
I do not. Shakhtar. I wouldn't be surprised if they pull off a shock upset against Porto, but
I'm with you there.
I agree with you. I think Porto, you know what, and I think it's a safe bet because they've started this season pretty well. They're 3 wins, 1 draw, only 4 games in, but it's still you want to start strong in your league to really prove or just show hey, we have a chance, especially in a group where if you're being realistic, other than Barcelona, it's anybody's game. Like even Antwerp, who knows how good they are, although I don't think they'd be better than Porto or Shakhtar. So I agree with you there, but not surprised if Shakhtar, surprise some people.
Yeah, I never know how I really feel about the Belgium league. Like, I don't know, like a part of me feels like the Belgium league's a little like overhyped, but I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it depends year to year.